So, hello everyone, welcome for the third session of the Journey of Self Discovery course. Till now, we have discussed about the first session was on the topic Search for Happiness, where we discussed how happiness everyone is trying to is the thing that everyone is looking for. We saw how everyone is looking for happiness on the level of senses, mind, intelligence, ego. We saw how humans are superior to animals only on the spiritual note. Materially speaking, there is hardly any difference, even if we are going to moon or whatever. As long as our purpose is not higher, we are animals. And the four activities which are common to animals and humans are eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We also discussed in that session about the effects of pursuing happiness on the level of this my senses, mind, intelligence, and ego. At how it just ends in what is called Paris fly, painful. No, sense gratification with the help of senses, mind, intelligence, ego. They are painful, addictive, risky, illusory, stale, and even if everything's all right, they are temporary. So it flies away. So Paris fly acronym we discussed. Then we discussed that why even if everyone is trying to look for happiness by good means, even such good people also face bad times. Why bad things happen to good people? Wherein we discussed basically the law of karma, how karma has two types of reactions: instant reactions and delayed reactions. Sometimes the reactions can become so delayed that it may cross lifetimes, and we concluded bad things do not happen to good people. Bad things happen to the bad part of the good people. And then we understood that we have to choose very wisely what are our actions and what actions not to be performed. And for that, we have to consult the manuals of life. Therefore, our today's session is focused on the importance of taking knowledge from scriptures. People speak, can you show me God? If God exists, I have to see him. But the problem is they don't know how to see God. Scriptures help us attain not only just God knowledge but also general knowledge. So let us begin the session today, and we have three topics in this session. First one is, are Vedas primitive? Very people, the moment you meet any modern generation people, you talk about Bhagavad Gita, there are multiple responses. Very rarely you will get a very positive response. Most of them are neutral or negative. They will say that, oh, these are some old books of rule book, that gives some do's and don'ts of life, and they are outdated kind of thing. So for them, it's just a rule book, which and as a popular saying goes, rules are meant to be broken, and they feel that by breaking the rules, uh, we will become more free. And they many forget about uh, discussing about spiritual scriptures. They don't even know about it. On the other hand, they will bring about this notion that actually is more important in modern times is to discuss science, industrialization, uh, how to increase economy, how to make employment, the food problem, the money problem. These are the practical problems, and we cannot solve it with the help of the Vedas. Health issues, the social issues, um, international issues. The Vedas, they don't have this kind of things. So let us not discuss about them. They are primitive. So are Vedas primitive? And is the modern so-called understanding about science is uh, all helpful without any flaw? Of course, you may say that there are flaws, but you may say that at least they are helping us in so many ways. So we'll analyze are Vedas primitive. Second, we'll give a good amount of time in discussing the two ways of gaining knowledge. What are the two ways of gaining knowledge? We'll see during the discussion. And finally, conclude with the story of the six blind men. So, as you see here, the pictures of many great leaders of the modern time and the past. In the leftmost image is, I don't know how many of you know him. He is Jian Yiming. He is the main founder of the ByteDance. He is the Chinese tech giant behind the popular social media app TikTok. Wow. And after using all his creativity and scientific knowledge and computer algorithmic training and his brilliant mind, he came up with something that can earn a lot of money and create lot of followers by giving them something totally meaningless substance to watch. You open the app, some video comes out. That was his idea, let people become addicted to it. So they using people's addictive weakness to create something that will be used as a means for producing money ended up making people waste their time. As you see, the 2024 report says average spent time spent daily on TikTok is 1 hour almost. The same applies for the previous year, and it is increasing even after banning also. Our creativity and talent, when it is going in wrong direction, even if it is going with the foundation of modern science, what it produces is something counterproductive for the society. The coming three images of the big popular scientist. This person is Fritz Haber. He is known for his achievement for combining nitrogen, hydrogen, and producing ammonia. Haber's process you must have studied also in chemistry, probably in 8th standard or so, where we learned how ammonia is manufactured. His idea was he will do something to create productivity for the farmers in place where land is not fertile for producing anything. With the help of his uh, achievement, it will be possible to produce. It was such a brilliant desire, motivation to help. And yes, people were thinking that we are having bread from air, because anywhere they could now farm, cultivate the land, use the fertilizers. So, recording চলছে তো
হ্যাঁ বলছি, ওই ফিসটা যে কাজ করেছিল, তো ওটা কি কোম্পানি থেকে এসেছিল না বাইরে থেকে কাজ
কোম্পানি
করেছিল?
কোম্পানি
কোম্পানি থেকেই না?
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
sorry, I got a call, so kindly forgive me. Yeah, so I was telling what he combined uh, nitrogen and oxygen to produce ammonia to be used as fertilizers, and people were he really helped so many people in the nation. But unfortunately, when the World War was there, he used his own formula to produce chemical weapons. And he was driven by nationalistic ideas that my country is in danger, I will do whatever it takes as a scientist. He was so absorbed in this activity, he didn't realize what he's going to create now is going to be such a destructing uh, agent in the future. In fact, his own weapon, people, when he was given Nobel Prize, many other fellow scientists did not even appear to take their Nobel Prize because they wanted to, kind of rebel that this person do not deserve Nobel Prize, because he became responsible for the deaths of unlimited people. Many people died by his chemical weapons use. Although there were times where no fight were going on, they will release these chemical weapons and breaking all that it is called war crime. During war, there are some principles. Earlier in the Kshatriya warfare, there were very strict principles about fighting. But even in today's era, where there is hardly any principles, still there are some war crimes. Like if you must know this Geneva Convention that if a fighter jet is flying in opposite nation, if the fighter falls, the pilot falls there, the country has to return him back to the parent country. So these are still some uh, internationally recognized rules, but this weapon, chemical weapon, was killing people in a rate which really uh, he himself was not satisfied. What to talk of his personal life? His wife committed suicide by she shot herself in the night. And you know what happened in the next morning? He again went for the chemical weapon testing, or using it for his labs. So, but this is not the end of the story. In the World War II, after the World War II, or during the World War II, yeah, Hitler used his formula to create what is very popularly known as the gas chambers. His own invention was so misused, and unfortunately, this person, he was a Jewish person. He himself has to flee the country for whom he did apparently the sacrifices he was thinking he is doing. True intentions, dangerous actions. Interestingly, sometimes people doubt the Vedas as primitive. They say that we don't trust them. People, even if they follow the scientific process properly, let's say someone follows the Vedic process improperly, and there is some bad result, people may criticize, these are some useless theories you are teaching. You know. But compare it with science. Even if with the right process, right technology, something dangerous as mass killing done by Hitler in the gas chambers could be possible. I'm not against, as we will also discuss the benefits of this scientific knowledge. We will discuss in the sessions. There is no denying that it has made things very easy. Oppenheimer, his role in the atom bombs. I will not go into details about Oppenheimer. This is another great person, Thomas Midgley Jr. You know, he invented leaded gasoline. That how to increase the efficiency of the fuel consumption in racing cars. So his invention became so widely accepted. Lead was now being added in gasoline, and so many uh, manufacturers were taking his patent, buying his formula, and establishing factories. And what was the result? Lead pollution, chlorofluorocarbons, and so many. Even if today, if there is in any corner of the world a person is having some respiratory problem due to lead pollution and chlorofluorocarbon, the contribution goes to this gentleman. He was so determined to prove his point that lead pollution do not have any health effects. In a conference, he smelled lead vapors to prove that it doesn't create any problem. But secretly himself, secretly he himself was taking doctor treatment for lead pollution. He himself was suffering. In many of the factories, the laborers were dying out of lead pollution. So on one hand, I saw here some of the dark side of the modern so-called theories and scientific advancement people take pride upon. On the other hand, we are so blindly rejecting the Vedas as primitive without knowing that even today Vedic studies are going on. I will share you links here every you see Vastu Shastra studies here. This link will take you to the articles which are the subject matter. They have been published on Vastu studies. How in your home, if you make some arrangements improperly, there will be so there are subtle sciences. So Vastu Shastra studies, where should be the location of the kitchen, the bathroom, the entrance, the so how to place even furniture within the home, where to place what, they have their effects in the mind and consciousness and the people they live in. Vedic mathematics is a very popular department. Then Vedic cosmology and astrology, Viman Shastra studies. I have You can find their articles. Just write on Google. Uh, paper published related to Vastu Shastra. They are all taken from the Vedas. If they were primitive, why they are being studied right now? And now what to talk of the yoga, which has become such a popular thing today? Ayurveda, yoga, they are gaining a lot of popularity. Cow services, it is said cow dung was considered like any other ordinary stool. Scriptures are telling cow dung have a lot of importance. They are purifying. They are not contaminating like the stool of any other animal. But now you see they are being sold in Amazon also. I have attached even an image that cow dungs are sold in Amazon as costed 6,000 rupees. And what to talk of the other points? The scriptures are revealing about life. How there are 8.4 millions of species in which plants are also there. And only 150 years ago or so, J.C. Bose scientifically proved it. So the truth is there present in the Vedas, unfiltered raw truth. And but only when it comes to science, it has to accept it by a very long path, long complicated path. Then only it has to be accepted. So Vedas also have their place even in modern times. Now the point that we are now discussing. So two ways of gaining knowledge: the inductive way and the deductive way. What is inductive way? It is the experiment based method. How do we hypothesize? How we come up with an axiom? How we come up with a theory? And how we come up with a modern solution is actually the inductive way. We observe the nature, we imagine, speculate, in mind about it, and then we do some experimentation and we verify. If it is a successful, then we axiomatize. If it is a failure, we re-speculate. Even if it is successful, we do more and more tests so that we find some failed experiments so that we can re-speculate. This is a one honesty of the scientist that is good, that when they want to make a theory, they want to see that let there be more failed attempts so that we can do refine the theory more and more. But ultimately you see the difference with the deductive way. With all this, when they're trying to approach and kind of define reality, these all fall, they become as limited as the person who is doing this observation. On the other hand, deductive way works on the principle that reality doesn't have to be experimented out. Let the reality come to us and explain itself. Reality, truth, knowledge of this world which is created, the creator when himself gives that knowledge, we just have to hear it, and then we have to verify it and then practice. A simple example can be given. Let's say there is a theory, man is mortal, right? Now if आदमी मरणशील है, man is mortal, what will be the inductive way to prove this? That okay, first one has to check man 1. Oh, he died, so man 1 is mortal. That is the speculation. Man is mortal. Let me check man 2. He also died. Man is mortal theory confirmed by test 2. And like that, even if one does unlimited number of tests, still there will be a challenge to this theory. Have you seen every man? If he says yes, it is a false statement, because no one can claim that I have really surveyed all the people on the earth, right? So this simple theory also is very difficult to be proven. There is always a room for doubt. Therefore, in the world of inductive knowledge, there is always this word probable, maybe, perhaps, mostly, most possibly. You know, there's a great probability. It's all like a statement theories with some room for. Like Newton's law, it was considered universal till the point it was realized, oh, it is not applicable for micro world and the macro world. Only in a certain range. There is no unifying theory to accommodate the entire wholesome range. And therefore, the more the scientists are trying to find a equation that will explain the universe, the more they are finding that they are ignorant, because they are trying to find out reality by their own limited approach. On the other hand, compare the deductive way of proving the same theory. Scriptures, let's say Vedas, tell that that life in the body is temporary. Now it is a theory. First thing is you heard it and accepted, and now you just have to verify and apply. You know. Oh, man is mortal. Are you a man? You have a body. You also have a body. You will die. You will die. You will die. I will also die because I have a body. Of course, I'm talking about the body. So here is a man. He will die. So here theory is already given. You just have to see the practice and its application. On the other side, theory itself is getting experimented out, and whether it is true or not, whether it will stand the test of time, it's a big question. And therefore we find that with time every scientific theory gets challenged and a new theory comes to disprove. So what is truth today according to science becomes false after few years or few decades. Whether a planet is a planet or whether it is a dwarf planet, whether it is a satellite, my god, there is so much debate. you know So this is the story about inductive way and deductive way. You see, if you compare both, it comes with probable theories, while deductive way gives conclusive principles. Ataha, there is a verse, Athato in Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Therefore, you inquire about the spirituality. Now you have got human form of. It's very conclusive. Atha Grihashetra Sutapta Vidya. Now, uh, you know, Atha Pumbir Duja Sreshta. There are so many words that starts with conclusive. Therefore, therefore, therefore. On the other hand, inductive way of knowledge operates on this type of maybe, perhaps, possibly, mostly. And even if they come with very rigid theories, they have their range defined. In this particular range, this is valid, invalid. So the scriptures say that scriptures also talk about inductive way of gaining knowledge. They call it the Aroha Pantha. Aroha Pantha means we are trying to approach the stairs and then reach the top. Avaroha Pantha means someone who we wanted to meet in the top, he comes down to us himself. That is deductive way. So scripture says the four problems with the Aroha Pantha, challenges of the inductive way. These are the four defects that we have. The moment we are trying to observe this world as a scientist or anything, we want to make a theory, and the moment we want to think about it, when we want to theorize, both will have some problem. This is called observation is called pratyaksh praman and speculation is called anuman praman. Pratyaksh praman will have its own problem. Anuman praman will also have problem. Why? Because both of these two things, pratyaksha and anuman, observation and speculation, they are being done by who? They are being done by the man who has the four defects. These four defects are imperfect senses. Our senses are limited. Therefore, our capacity to observe is limited. Our capacity to think and come with a conclusion will also be prone to defects. We have imperfect senses, and that leads to illusion. You can see the image, it appears like a mirage. All of you know the very popular example, mirage. Our senses, not only makes mistakes, they are not only limited, the limited senses have the natural result of being making the world, creating an illusion for us. And then mistakes, we commit mistakes. Like this person who was trying to improve the efficiency of the fuel by adding lead, you know, it was a big mistake. He contributed to some series of air pollution that to next generation, future generation will be suffering. The depletion of ozone layer, health hazards, respiratory problems, cancer, lung cancer, so many issues due to lead pollution. It is said if lead enters our bone, it replaces calcium and then causes many bone diseases. And finally, when the mistake is done, the worst defect of human is their cheating propensity. They want to hide the mistake. Like that sign, here the image of a lady is given here. She is, I forgot the name, Holmes, I think. Uh, so those who are going to give the session, I have put it in the notes. You can see the notes of this presentation. Holmes, something Holmes. She is the CEO. She was the CEO of a company called Theranos. I don't know at present where she is. In 2018, the company was closed. In 2013 or sometime it was opened, or 2003 it was opened probably. A very long time actually. So her claim was that with a very small amount of blood sample, a lot of tests can be given uh, without having to take multiple amount times of multiple checkups. Her claim was this was like a revolutionary claim that actually she used to claim that with one drop of water, all the blood test I will give you reports. We have devised such kind of technology, and she became very rich in a very short time. So many people, investors, were buying the shares of her company, and she became very quickly rich. And then, when her fraud was finally put forward in front of the world, it was said in no time she became pauper. From a business more than $600 billion or $1 million, mostly $1 billion, she came to nothing. And what to talk of the penalties she had to give, and so many imprisonment. So cheating propensity, imperfect senses, tendency to get illusioned, committing mistakes, and cheating propensity. So imperfect senses, we can give some examples how our eyes, they are limited to vision within 400 uh, millimicron to 700 millimicron of wavelength, right? We can't see below and higher than this wavelength. We can't see X-rays, infrared rays, so many rays we can't see. Yet we put so much faith on this principle. Seeing is believing. Even a sensible scientist do not accept seeing is believing. And therefore, when it comes to spirituality, if someone says, "Show me, otherwise I will not believe," we should first of all tell him you are not a proper atheist also. You are not a proper scientist, scientific person also. Because many things we see we don't believe. Many things, we can't hear. They see ears have their own range of hearing ability, from 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz. Then comes the tendency to be illusioned. Here another data is there. It is uh, Eugene Wigner. He points out that someone may say that I have imperfect senses, but by the help of the instruments, I have an electron microscope to see the micro world, and I have a telescope to see the macro world. Then he says very wonderful point here. Even if we photograph stars, eventually we have to take in by our senses what the photo shows. Furthermore, without our senses, we cannot handle a camera. Even if we amplified, refined by instruments, the knowledge is no more perfect than our imperfect senses. So yes, and then tendency to be illusioned. Orange, when you taste after something sweet, the same orange will not appear very sweet. But if you have tasted lemon, नींबू चाट के आप वही संतरा खाइए, मीठा लगेगा. और चीनी खा के या कुछ बहुत मीठा खा के आप संतरा खाइए, आपको वो उतना मीठा नहीं लगा, हो सकता है कड़वा लगे ना, इट में appear sour to you. Orange is the same. Taste is different according to the previous taste. Similarly, you come from hot sun outside and enter the room, you find, oh, relax, the room is so cold. But the person who is inside the room, he feels that, what are you telling? This is very hot. It's so relative. Our senses gives our senses give relative knowledge. Cold hand feels warm water. You know, warm hand feels cold water. What I mean to say is that when you have your hands put on warm water, then even normal water will appear cold. And if your hands were inside some cold water, normal water will appear warm to you. Water has the same temperature, but perception, it becomes so subjective. Here are some examples of illusion. You see in the previous image, how many of you can see a old lady and a old couple, and how many of you can see a young couple? You can see both the images are present in the same. The young couple, they are sitting and singing. The old couple, they are facing each other. These images, they are all static, but some of them appears to be moving. Here it appears like moving. Let me place. So you have to keep the mouse here somewhere to find out the play button. Yeah, you see. So actually, it's a static image, but the way frame is moved, it appears like it is moving. You see. So these are some examples of optical illusion. So we have a tendency to illusion, and finally committing mistakes. Like one of the mistake was uh, to somehow come up with a fossil of a chicken that will be the missing link, because they wanted to prove that how birds have come from dinosaurs. So what did they do? They filed some jaws of some birds and some other, some forgery, kuch to घोटाला किया, and then that was caught. It was a mistake. Hubble constant, its value changed 2 3 times, and scientists, they start calling it Hubble variable. And finally, cheating propensity. Like Darwin's theory, it's very interesting observation that he made. It is really a very powerful observation. But the theory that he gave is very questionable. Many atheists take help of Darwin's theory to disprove that we are this body, we are nothing more than that. There is no soul, there is nothing spiritual in it. We are just this bag of chemicals and molecules, atoms, that's all. And this body actually grows based on the principle survival of the fittest. And to establish many such theories, some examples and theories were put forward: how the elephant got a long trunk, how giraffe had a long neck, but they're all questionable. Like for example, if giraffe only survived because it had a long neck, or it could stretch over the period of time its neck, because it had to take and eat the trees having leaves at a very high altitude, and the giraffe with lower necks, they died, shorter necks, they died because they could not raise their neck. So it's a vague theory, because भाई नीचे का घास नहीं था क्या खा के जिंदा रह सकने के लिए? Another theory says that how a bear jumped in water and to catch fish, and among those bears, only those bears survived who could develop the swimming skills like fish, and then later respiratory organs like fish, gills. They developed gills instead of lungs, and they could breathe inside water, and then they gradually converted into whale. My goodness, it never happens in our present experience and past experience. Nobody can throw away. If we take the entire bear population and throw it in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, we know what will happen then. They will simply die. There is a gradual progress of species, but that happens across lifetimes. A soul transmigrates from a lower species to higher species. Just by combining two species or breaking the leg of a spider, we don't tell that this has become a new species. It remains so many. So sometimes students question that if by DNA manipulation, we can create some new species, does it not prove the Darwin's theory that that it is only by chemical combination some new species can be formed? There is no such soul transmigration. New species are found based on survival and all these things, hybrid. So the answer is no. Even if you combine a dog and some other species, the result is actually some dog only. Not, they make, and even if you say that you have created something unique, let's say there is mule, khachar, half horse and half donkey. So they say this is a new species. It's not new species. These are all probable species. They are all mentioned in the scriptures. Even in Ramayana comes the description. Ravana saw himself in a bad dream that he's in a rath where mules are taking the rath, pulling the rath. And now how old is Ramayana? You see, so there is nothing new created by experiment of species. So many breeds of dogs are coming up, but ultimately they are dogs. They are not cats. So the point I'm trying to mention here is that the theory and the experiment, as long as they are done with this note that they are questionable. But if you teach them as you know unmovable fact or true, then it is a problem. Then it is a problem. In the 10th standard, they teach this Darwin's theory, but ideally they should be taught as theories which are questionable. But point is they are taught in a way that boys and girls who are innocent, they accept this as reality. Yes, we came from monkeys, hum bandar se hain. They start believing it, but no, it's not like that. There are cases of fossil record which shows that in the oldest of the oldest fossils also there is a coexistence of human fossils and monkey fossils. Like for example, you see Piltdown man hoax, because according to this theory of Darwinism, you know, there should be a connecting link between the monkey species and the human species, and the connecting link should have some similarity to the monkey and some similarity to the humans, and this should be proved by the fossil records. But unfortunately, many of such fossils were proved a hoax. Hoax matlab no jhoota, no fraud. They were all manually filed up cases. Filing करते हैं ना घिस घिस के, छेनी से मार के, हथौड़ा से मार के, बंदर का इंसान का खोपड़ी उपड़ी लेके उसको किसी तरह से, and then they were put in museums, but they were many times caught. You can search Piltdown man hoax conspiracy. There are many such conspiracies. So atheistic scientists, they really base their arguments on this. Actually, Darwin is innocent, but his followers later on became too aggressive to use his theory to put forward theory of atheistic ideas. These all fall under what? The cheating propensity. There is the cheating propensity. People are not ready to accept that, yes, we can do mistakes. Yes, what I was trying to teach was not complete. So this cheating propensity, these four things become the big challenge for the inductive way of gaining knowledge. Now discussing that, do we really therefore reject everything that is modern and scientific? Do we stop going to the hospitals? Right now we are having the laptop to give you session. We are all coming into this college. Should we reject the college? See, there is a statement called best use of the bad bargain. अब दुनिया ऐसी सिचुएशन में पहुंच चुकी है, there will be a limit to the things we can avoid and there will be a limit to the things we can accept. So what we do, we have to do what is called best use of the bad bargain. गलत समझौता हो गया है, गलत समझौता हो गया, हम लोग कलयुग में पहुंच गए हैं, टपक गए हैं. But in the Kali Yuga, let us not get swayed away in doing anything and everything. We have to still do the best. Best use of the bad bargain means, yes, we have to accept that the inductive way of gaining knowledge, the scientific way, helps us getting quick relief, comfort, and it is very fun. It creates a lot of fun in a very short time. Parents are taking the kid in the bus. The kid is showing some tantrums. Wah, 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 the baby is crying. The mother immediately opens the mobile, watch some reels, baby. And the baby watches the reels. So it can create sometimes easy comfort for the parents. Also, it is very easy to put faith on them because the results are very apparent in a short amount of time. Sir, take this surf excel. This really cleans your cloth more than any other detergent. I will prove you right now. Here is a cloth. You can see the stained cloth. So there is a full proper presentation which is made in this world. So sometimes it becomes very easy to accept and put faith. Also, they are very accessible. Scientific advancements, they are sometimes so simple that even a very poor person can access them, or even a backward village also there are some or other product of science present in that village. Mass manufacturing, as I said, that person who invented the efficient fuel, immediately it was becoming mass manufacturing, manufactured, assembly line productions. Things can be created. Whenever the moment corona came, there was mass production of mask. So what is needed can be produced in mass. Also, by time saving solutions, we have electronic gadgets, we have uh, the vehicles, they really save our time. Quick profit, sometimes we can also get quick profit by adopting the inductive way of knowledge. We can take help of science to earn money very quickly. And swift career progress, you don't have to put lot of sweat and toil. Just you be little creative in this world and you can start earning. You can become popular, you can become an influencer. So easy, you know to earn money in modern world. But there are some disadvantages. These disadvantages make a serious question on the inductive way, that sometimes it gives quick relief but it can create long term problems. It is easy to put faith but they can create over dependence. Like one time in America there was power shortage for 8 hours and they had no experience of power shortage. Electricity cut hota kya hai unko pata hi nahi hai. There were cases where people died out of fear, committed suicide jumping from tall apartments. You know, in India, if you compare, they are habituated to power cuts. Now things are changing. No, you can ask yourself, if there is a power cut in the halls, what happens in the halls? Boys come out of the rooms and they start shouting, enjoying life. It's very no common for them. But sometimes, due to over depending on these kind of things, what happens? One time there was no power for electricity for 12 hours or so. The KGP boys were frustrated because there is no alternative. So the more we over depend, it can create trouble for us. You can see the example of AI today. So many layoffs are happening. We created something which is now becoming counterproductive. How to adopt AI has become a new question today. Crimes doubled, tripled, become 10 times, 100 times after the technology has become more and more advanced. Consumerism is a top issue. All the soft values of human life, they are crushed by the problem of consumer. What is consumerism? I have something that I can sell you. Even if you don't need that, I will prove you that you need it and I will force you to buy it. And then what you end up is you work hard to earn some money and then you have to buy something that you don't need. That is consumerism. Create a create a addiction first and then make people long for it and then sell it and then earn money. Best make money out of anything. Making money becomes the priority. Sell some product, make it a product. Whatever you have, it can be sold. Even if it is the dirtiest of the thing, it can be sold. There will be, you can convince, you can find your customer. Consumerism. Harmful side effects. Medicines, which were once considered very useful, latter were rejected because they are like Combifarm is one of the popular medicine. I used to take when I was very young, but later I came to know that the medicine shops they are telling that this is banned now. Better take paracetamol and all. New versions have come. Combifarm should not be taken. Many of the medicines at present also, who knows, we are using in India, but they are banned in America, in other Western countries. Quick loss. Today you are rich, tomorrow you are beggar. Because one scientific failure, the failure in the modern technology, it can create havoc. A big factory, immediately many people got job. Some problem, the factory was closed, immediately many people lost their job, and by this time they had become over dependent on the. So inductive way, it really creates a loss of human values. On the other hand, compare the advantage of deductive way. Truth, you want to know what is not. Just like a baby wants to know who is my father. If he tries to do an experiment, let me do some DNA test and all. It is said that one analysis said if someone wants to find out who is father through the DNA test, it will take him 800 years to find 200 probable male person, out of which one person might be his father. बेटा 800 साल में तो उसका 8 जनरेशन पार हो जाएगा कम से कम. On the other hand, the baby will approach the mother, who is my father. So my dear friends, this is the way deductive knowledge works. Mother is compared to scriptures, father is God, or the godly life, or the manual of life. Scriptures are telling us the way of life and the purpose of life. That is the most important difference. So just like when it comes to knowledge, you have books, you have schools, and you have teachers. In the same way, the knowledge of scriptures comes from God. It is not a human created human with four defects. That's the question all of you must be having. That if deductive knowledge is also something we have to hear, aren't our ears defective? But the question here is not the person who is receiving the source of the knowledge. That is not defective. When Creator Himself gives the knowledge about creation, it is free from all defects. And are there schools? Yes. In the tradition of devotion, in the bhakti tradition, there are four authentic parampara in which we have to accept spiritual knowledge. So these are the parampara from Mother Lakshmi. One is Lord Brahma, another is Lord Shiva, another is Kumar. The knowledge coming down through the parampara of Mother Lakshmi, it is called Sri Sampradaya. That parampara, uh, that school is called Sri Sampradaya. So there are four Sampradayas, or you can say four universities, where we get the Vedic knowledge in the Bhakti tradition. So there is Brahma Sampradaya, there is Rudra Sampradaya, and there is Kumar Sampradaya. And in each Sampradaya, there are the prominent guru. There are many gurus and disciples because it comes to the line of guru and disciple. So this is Ramanujacharya in the Sri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami in the Rudra Sampradaya. In the Kumar Sampradaya, there is Nimbarka Swami. These are the popular acharyas. So you may doubt that Prabhu just now, sir, you just now said that inductive knowledge, is problematic because of defects. Deductive knowledge is free from problems, which comes from the right source, God. But how do we believe in you that you are not giving? So, my dear friends, believe me that I am not speaking what something I have manufactured. The knowledge I am getting also from parampara. I belong to this seniors, my mentors, my gurus. They are coming in the line of Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya. We are a part of one bona fide link. Therefore, this will have impact if you follow the process and you hold on. Now, saying this, let us compare the challenges that deductive way. I will not say disadvantage for deductive way because it doesn't have disadvantage. Science, on the other hand, even if you follow the process properly, the results are questionable. But in case of deductive way, if the process is properly followed, there is no question of disadvantage. But yes, there are some serious challenges in the deductive way also. What are these challenges? It will be a tough thing to find the right guru. Finding the right guru. Sanskrit text sometimes becomes very difficult to understand. Plus, YouTube is flooded with so many spiritual organizations and gurus giving their own theory about truth. सच्चाई क्या है? इतने लोगों ने अपना चैनल खोल के रखा है, and they're like speaking sometimes totally contrary things. Whom to believe, whom not to believe? Atheistic ideologies and propagandas. Like Max Muller came to India as a Britisher, studied the Vedas, and then devised the rule in India that destroyed the Gurukul system, established English culture, and propagated the English study with the idea that gradually in India the Indians will be only through the body, but internally they will be all England people. They will be all English. We will destroy their faith in the Vedas. Teach them that Vedas are primitive. Like पहले लोग यूज करते थे क्या? Salt, mustard oil, or ash, to clean their teeth. So they say, what is this primitive things you are doing? Buy this Colgate. अब बेटा बाद में हम ही लोग आके बोलते हैं आपके टूथपेस्ट में नमक है भाई, नमक तो पहले यूज करते थे, हमारा ही माल हम ही बेचते हो. So they are stealing our own technology and reshaping it and then selling to us only, telling that our own culture was so our roots got destroyed, and till today the propaganda is going on. So therefore, even movies, portraying anti-Vedic themes, they are destroying faith on the Vedas. Also, many times, if you want to pursue a spiritual path, family supports are not there. Parents fear. Parents don't fear their boys drinking, smoking, watching pornography, and all this nonsense. But if you tell them that I met a guru today, he is teaching me Bhagavad Gita. हाँ? ये क्या हो गया? ये करने भेजा था तुझे? तुझे तो मैंने बिगड़ने, सॉरी, पैसा कमाने भेजा था. तू मेरा एटीएम कार्ड है भाई. तू अच्छा कमाएगा, मेरा इज्जत बढ़ेगा. Me, भाई, if this kind of parents are there, now the movie Mahavatar Narsimha is so famous. Many schools are taking their children there. Everyone wants their babies, their children to become like Prahlad. Only themselves want to remain Hiranyakashipu. So lack of family support. Hardly parents nowadays put faith in a spiritual guru. If they get to know, they doubt. But if the same boy, who is not telling the parents about their other things, how they are taking wrong association, professor, they are hardly bothering whether the student is learning or not. Parents still don't mind. Such a big difference. One of the another challenge is that the deductive way demands surrender and sincerity because the results sometimes do not come easily. The results come with some price of your surrender, sincere practice. No. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, the path of spirituality in the beginning appears little tough, but the end it produces nectar. Therefore, some people lose patience. But actually, if the process is properly followed, the results are not far. Some people think that spirituality is an endless, infinite journey. But actually, the process, when it is properly followed, it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Susukham kartum avyayam. Pratyakshavagagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. One can directly perceive the results and experience joy. Susukham kartum avyayam. When one performs spiritual practices. So, but someone may still, have lack of patience. And yes, many scriptures are lost. Even if there are scriptures which help us uh, in so many ways, even if it is there, actually Vedas are considered like a desire fulfilling tree. It contains various types of guidances, even to the point of guiding a person fulfill his material desire of getting money, getting beautiful wife, getting higher birth, what not. These types of things are also given in Vedas how one can fulfill. Many things are lost. Many scriptures, you must have heard how Nalanda University was burnt, and it burnt for many months. It was on fire. So many, wise text of wisdom we lost. Till date, the whole nation is envious of India, honestly, because of its spiritual heritage. The strength that India has, actually, the root is the Vedas. The root is the manuals of life, and they are still attacking that. And finally, short-sighted material desires. When our heart is too greedy and lusty, truths do not take effect in our heart. We want to enjoy something dangerous, meaningless, and we pursue the same path of ignorance. They also become a challenge. On the other hand, there are many advantages. If someone overcomes this challenge, he will find these advantages. As I said, there is no disadvantage, but there are challenges. One has to overcome these challenges, and then they will meet the advantage. Satisfied heart, and peaceful minds. Because scriptures answers life's deepest question. They not only give spiritual values of life, but also social values. When Krishna made Arjuna fight the battle of Kurukshetra, actually it was for breaking the social values. The Kauravas were breaking the social values. A king should not become a king like Duryodhana. They had to be eradicated. That he wanted to establish. The social dharma, how a society should run, the proper system, uh, what is the proper social system. These are all mentioned in the scriptures. How to face the tough ups and downs of life, that is the dualities of life. Scriptures are also entertaining. There are stories of romance, there is stories of horror. Everything that every emotion that one wants to experience in the movies, romance, politics, etc., etc. These are all present in the scriptures. Also, it teaches us to harmonize with the nature, the society, and harmonize with God's will. It teaches us simple living and high thinking. Scriptures not only gives us benefit for this life, it can promise and give us benefit across lifetimes. And finally, some of the major problems of modern time, bad habits, racism, animal cruelty, these are all solved by following the deductive way. So, in conclusion, the inductive knowledge works only with matter, gross matter, material tools and methods. So we can conclude that science makes things better, but the deductive way of knowledge makes people better. So just like we discussed that inductive way means observation and speculation and making some theory. So it is called pratyaksh praman, anuman praman. Deductive way of gaining knowledge is called shabda praman. You are hearing the shabda, oral reception. When we do that, what it is saying, it makes people better. You are see, this is a small chart we have put here. You know, it shows many of the inner battles that one has to face. The anger. There are some relevant slokas from Bhagavad Gita. If you read that, you apply those principles, you can handle anger. And how what to do in confusion, how to deal with envy, how to deal with fear, laziness, lust, greed, how to face hopelessness, how to face death of a loved one. So many ABCDs, there are so many things, it helps us and face. Now let us watch this very motivating video.
In my professional career. A lot of it is due to.
So the sound for this first few seconds is very small. This person is Dr. D. Sridharan. He's called the Metro Man of India. He brought the metro railways in mass application in the nation. he would work in a very efficient way from morning, and the good point was he will never work after 5 p.m. along with his team, and he dedicates his entire work efficiency to the study of Bhagavad Gita and the meditation mentioned by Krishna and the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. Early morning he will wake up and he will do his sadhana every day. There is a totally separate video of his interview where he glorifies Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This should be our role model and not the movie stars who are teaching us to smoke, drink, and let's move forward with the video.
in my professional career. A lot of it is due to the knowledge and guidance I have received from Bhagavad Gita.
I've been studying with Jay. I fell in love with the Bhagavad Gita. Jay and I have been spending time. We've been hanging. We've been traveling together. Jay has really been the catalyst for this next phase.
When giant waves are crashing upon us, when we're feeling unsteady, lost, adrift, the Bhagavad Gita offers us guidance and hope. When I was elected to the United States Congress, I chose to take the oath of office on the Bhagavad Gita.
People return to it, generation after generation, return to its shining moral compass for guidance whenever they are beset by despair or doubt.
जाके महाराजा को मिलने गया तो उनको भी मैंने गीता भेजी थी। क्योंकि मेरे पास इससे बढ़कर के देने को कुछ नहीं है और दुनिया के पास भी इससे बढ़कर पाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है।
So every young man or lady is going to have confusions. Every young person is going to have those dilemmas. To do or not to do, to be or not to be. That's exactly how the Gita begins. It begins with confusion, it begins with dilemmas, it begins with a lack of meaning. And then Krishna kind of guides Arjun through and empowers Arjun to make his own choices.
यद्यदश्यति श्रेष्ठा तद् तद् एव तरो जना स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते.
So dear friends, let's conclude our session today with the story of 6 blind men. One time 6 persons were blind. They were trying to find out, speculate how an elephant looks like. The person who is catching the tail, the body, the ear, the legs, this elephant trunk, this person is catching, and this is the teeth of elephant. So he is thinking that the elephant is like a rope because he is holding what? The tail. The trunk it's moving, his person is thinking the elephant trunk, elephant is mostly like a snake or a python. The person who is touching the pointed tooth of the elephant is telling it's more like an arrow. And here a person who is touching the leg is thinking it's like a bark of a tree, and this person who is touching the ear, he's thinking it's like a fan, hand fan. And the stomach who is touching things, it's like a giant wall. They're all talking about the same reality, but their limitations creating different versions of the reality. Same thing. Someone is saying it's a wave theory. Someone is saying it's a particle theory. Wave theory, particle theory. Wave theory, particle theory. So the way to get to the real knowledge is to ask someone who is not blind. He will speak and they have to hear. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita similarly comes through words of those who are spiritual leaders, acharyas, gurus. They have heard from their gurus. Ultimately, it comes from God. Therefore, our next session is now coming to be the beginning of our Bhagavad Gita sessions. We will directly start with chapter 1, and these sessions are going to be interesting. Now it will be taken by your seniors. Thank you very much.